so just go ahead and introduce yourself and where you're from. And yeah.
Okay. My name is Janan Cotto. I am Odawa Ojibwe Potawatomi. I'm enrolled in a Little Traverse Bay Band of Odawa Indians. I'm also Puerto Rican. And I'm the Director of Education here at the American Indian Center. I've worked here since 2007, and I've just transitioned into the position. So, you know, something brand new to me. I was coordinating all the programs before that, and now I'm kind of helping out with coordinating everything. So.
Wow, awesome. So we're here to capture the journey for Northwest Indian College up in Washington. And this whole journey is just about trying to raise awareness about traditional healing practices in medicine, and it's eventually going to end up at the National Library of Medicine. And I just want to get, like, what is your take on that, or what do you think that you've seen today, like the impact it might have made today? Does that question make sense? Just what you thought of, what you think of this campaign that we're trying to raise awareness about. Sorry, my thing's vibrating, my phone. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Sorry.
So, I mean, it's definitely an honor to have you guys, you know, stop off here in Chicago. I do know that this is the only urban center that you guys are actually visiting, which I think is incredible. You know, I do know that the majority of Native people are actually living in urban areas rather than reservation areas, and so I think, you know, it's beyond an honor to have Chicago chosen as, you know, the urban center that you guys, you know, wanted to have, you know, as a stopping off point. So I think that's pretty incredible. And I think it's just, you know, pretty powerful to have, you know, this, you know, journey, you know, and stopping off at different points throughout the country. And, you know, I appreciate the fact that you guys are doing it. I know that, like, traveling is hard, and, you know, it can be stressful, it can be tiring, and so, you know, I think it's really cool that you guys are sacrificing and making sure that, you know, people are aware of, you know, your campaign and what you're doing. I think it's pretty cool. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So can you tell me a little bit about the garden that's down there? Do you know much about it?
I actually don't. A better person to interview about the garden would be Eli. I'm not sure if you've met him or spoken to him, but I could definitely, you know, procure an introduction for you if you wanted to ask. Yeah. You know, I do know that before, like Joe was saying, I'm not sure if you heard him earlier, but years ago, there was actually a parking lot outside. So there wasn't even, you know, I mean, it was concrete, and, you know, Eli and community leaders have really worked to transform it and, you know, make it what it is today. And so, you know, now it's definitely, like, flourishing. It's won some awards, and it's actually, like, recognized as a wildlife habitat. So
outside the garden, wow. So in this center here, do you guys teach? This is a class? Or
we do.
Do you teach traditional knowledge? Is that what it's about?
So, excuse me. We do lots of different kinds of programming here. We do youth programming and serve youth from 2 up through 24. So we do some early childhood programming, and then you know, we've got some leadership development programming that works with youth up through age 24, and you know, like everything in between. So we do fine arts, performing arts, cultural arts. We do sports, like I said, leadership development, some language, some history. We've offered before, and you know, along with academic support and tutoring, and then we also have an after-school homework help program, which is different because we're doing homework with kids rather than bringing them in and just building their skills. So you know, those are the kinds of things that, you know, we're doing here, and we definitely, you know, want to make sure that we're supporting our kids in developing their Native identities and their cultural identities. Because for a lot of our kids, especially in their schools, sometimes in their neighborhoods, they're, you know, probably the only Native kid, you know, in their classroom, in their school. So, you know, it can be isolating and, you know, even marginalizing, you know, especially if kids are sitting in classrooms where teachers aren't, you know, aware either. And so when it comes to things like Columbus Day and Thanksgiving, you know, it can be, you know, an experience that, you know, kids have a hard time with. So, you know, we definitely want to create a kind of like culturally safe and supportive and appropriate kind of environment for kids to come and be part of a community of other Native youth as well. So, you know, that's sort of what we want to try to do here, you know, and so I guess that kind of like segues me into talking about some of the professional development stuff that we've done here in the education department. The professional development program started off as a school tour program so that kids from classrooms and schools could come in and they could see the American Indian Center and kind of learn about like Native people a little bit. And it evolved into a program where we would create partnerships with schools and teachers and go in and help support teachers in thinking about how to most effectively and appropriately teach about and teach to Native people. So, you know, we try to talk a lot about, you know, contemporary communities and, you know, more contemporary issues like, you know, cultural resource management and things like that, just because, you know, we want to get away from, you know, people teaching about Indians as though, you know, we don't exist anymore, or, you know, this really antiquated, like, relic of people from the past. So, you know, that's something that we have done, and, you know, we're still working on. We don't have a full-time PD coordinator anymore, but we're working on kind of reworking what we can offer using contracted consultants so that we can still do it and we can still offer it, maybe not in the same capacity, but, you know, definitely still, you know, have that component to what we're doing. And then aside from that, we've got some research projects going on. So the previous director of education is a researcher. She's got her PhD in learning sciences, and she's interested in how people learn and how culture affects basically how you learn. So she's got some research projects going on, and so we're, you know, contracted to work with her institution, the University of Washington, at Northwestern University, and then the Menominee Tribal School. So, you know, collaboratively, we're working on these research projects. So those are some things that we've just started here. We had some research projects going on for the past 6 years, and then we've just started some new ones this month, actually, so they're brand new.
So what I've noticed since we've been on this journey is that every tribe that we stop at is doing amazing things, like what you guys are doing here. And it kind of applies to, well, it does apply to what we are doing. What our journey is about right now is about keeping the traditional medicines and, you know, helping people to hear our voices, you know. And so that's a way, I guess, that we're keeping that alive, is by doing this, making people aware, getting the totem pole safely to where it needs to be, and then that knowledge that we're giving to the rest of the country is going to put us back on the map, so to speak, I guess, you know, to know that we are still here, and that we are, you know, we know a lot. We're really knowledgeable people, you know, when it comes to health, you know, and so we still have those things, and we can share those things, and what you're doing in this, you know, your little area is doing the same thing. So I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I've become more aware of this, like, movement of Indigenous knowledge recovery, and it seems like it's something that's sort of like bubbling up a little bit here and there throughout Indian country, and I think it's really cool, and I hope it's a movement that really grows, because it's important, you know, it's important to like decolonize how we're doing things, and, you know, not necessarily bring back, but, like, you know, support and spread, you know, traditional Indigenous knowledge. you know, because it's valid and it's important.
Yeah. All right.
So I'm guessing you probably work with a lot of students who are also mixed, and I'm mixed, but I'm just wondering, like, how do they get to incorporate, like, all their identities here? And it looks like you guys are doing an awesome job already doing that, but I just want to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's funny because I just ran a volunteer orientation where that kind of came up. So, you know, our community is really tribally diverse because it was one of the first relocation cities. So there are people that were coming from reservations from all over the country and coming here, you know, to live and work and start a, you know, new life. And so it's been about 3 generations. So, you know, a lot of our youth are mixed with like 3, 4, 5, 6 different tribes, and with other heritages as well. You know, but they're definitely native by blood, by, you know, culture, by identity. And so, you know, if you think about it, like, no child at 7, 8, 9 is going to be an expert in whatever culture they come from, you know, so it's something that we try to, like, support and facilitate here. And, you know, one of the challenges with it is, you know, of course, that, you know, our community is really tribally diverse, but that's something that we're always aware and conscious of, and that we're always trying to, you know, navigate and make sure that, you know, we're not, like, isolating people, or we're being too, like, Ojibwe-centric or, like, woodland-centric, because we definitely have kids here that are, you know, like, you know, from the Plains region, or, you know, from the South, and, you know, some kids from Southwest. So we do have a tribally diverse community. So when we do, what we do is what we offer programs. Excuse me, I have fall allergies, so
It's okay.
I got this
Don't worry
cough.
about it.
But we do, when we have these classes, we offer seasonal classes that last about 10 weeks. We contract people from the community to come in and share their knowledge and, you know, engage with youth. You know, we feel like it's important that, you know, the community, the you know, older generations are engaging with our youth and vice versa. And it's a great way for this knowledge to be, like, passed down. So, you know, since we do have a community of you know, diverse older generations, you know, then we have the opportunity to bring those in so that, you know, our youth, who are also just as diverse, you know, have the opportunity to, you know, learn from people that are like them or different, you know, and then just learn a different perspective. So, you know, we try our best, our absolute best, and, you know, sometimes, you know, it can lean a little bit more towards, like, you know, we're always doing something that focuses on, like, Ojibwe language, or, you know, very, like, Anishinaabe-centric, you know, and we have to really be conscious of that and constantly, like, push back against that, because it can be really, you know, easy and comfortable to do that because there's so many Anishinaabe people here in the area. You know, there are lots of Menominees and Oneidas and, you know, yeah, I mean, you know, there are definitely, like, you know, those tribes that are heavily represented here too, but, you know, definitely lots of Anishinaabe people. So it can be really easy to slip into that, but, you know, it's something that we're definitely always aware of. And, you know, one of the other ways that we are, you know, supportive in kids helping develop their identities is, you know, a lot of our kids are mixed with other heritages as well. So, you know, we've started thinking about being Indigenous as something that, you know, an identity you can have that transcends political borders that were imposed by, you know, the conquerors. So, you know, if you're Nawa or Yaqui, I mean, you're still Indigenous, right? You know, if you're Huasteca, you're Indigenous. If you're Taino, you're Indigenous, you know. So, you know, that's sort of something that we've taken, an idea that we've taken, and, you know, we're sort of implicitly and explicitly, like, you know, making kids aware of. So.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, thank you
Thank
so
you
much
guys
for your time.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys for coming.